This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
The bushfire emergency has prompted dozens more Tasmanians to fly to Queensland to assist, and more will soon be on their way after Tasmania's fire chief received another request for more help this morning.
A strike team gets ready to battle unprecedented blazes. 42 firefighters flying out of Hobart and Devonport today to lend a hand to their Queensland colleagues.
It could be anything from backburning operations to putting water on the flames or evacuating homeowners.
As more than 100 large fires continue to ravage the state, Tasmanian frontline staff and volunteers will touch down in Brisbane before heading straight to the fire ground, facing very different conditions to what they're used to.
Fire is fire, however, it does behave slightly differently in different regions of the state. So, yeah, look, we're really going to have to be on our game and use all the resources that are available to us.
I think the biggest thing is the noise. I think a lot of people understand that it's hot, smoky, smells, you can't see anything, but definitely the noise is something that a lot of people aren't aware of, so that is quite frightening.
They will join hundreds of crews from across Australia, all working to save lives and property.
I've just had another request for a further 20 firefighters. That sort of contribution is significant to any firefight. If we had 50 firefighters on a fire here, that usually deals with a large fire in Tasmania alone.
Today's crews are expecting to return home on Wednesday. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
Charges have been laid against a Primrose Sands man who allegedly assaulted two men with a firearm yesterday morning. 46-year-old Aaron Henderson Gray appeared in the Hobart Magistrates Court today after being charged with causing grievous bodily harm, aggravated assault and wounding. Police allege he struck two men with a blunt object at Primrose Sands and fired shots which didn't hit anyone. He was remanded in custody and is due to reappear in court on Monday. Christmas cheer took over Hobart City streets today, with thousands of motorcyclists carrying some very special cargo. Each rider delivering a donation for the Salvation Army, making sure everyone in our community has something to unwrap on Christmas morning.
With tinsel on their handlebars and toys on their backs, it was hard to miss the thousands of motorbikes taking over the Hobart waterfront. Today marked the 39th annual Toy Run, the warm weather bringing out large crowds through the city centre.
The numbers would be astronomical in comparison. Previously we've had figures like 5,000, 6,000 on an okay year, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was far in excess of that.
And it's all for a good cause, the riders carrying toys, food and other donations collected by the Salvation Army to hand out this Christmas.
The people we work with in our community, they are often struggling to live day to day. So Christmas is about giving them a bit of a hand up to be able to provide for their families.
Riders more than happy to take part in the iconic event and to offer a gift for those less fortunate.
There's obviously a lot of people less fortunate than us, and why not if we can.
We had this guy strapped to the back of the bike on the way in up high, and you've only got to see the joy he brings to the kids' faces on the bike on the way in, let alone some lucky person who's going to get him for Christmas.
This will be about my 15th time, so every year without fail.
Making sure everyone has something under the tree this Christmas Day. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
Well, the country's sharpest clay target shooters have had their eyes on the prize in Longford for the annual Northern Midlands Classic. Members of our national team mixed in with locals at today's event, including one shooter who made a special trip down after a tumultuous year.
Today was a mission for even the most experienced marksmen, as moderate winds made the clay targets unpredictable. But one top-ranked contender considered himself lucky just to be here. After suffering a heart attack on New Year's Day, Peter Hall made it his goal to return to the sport he loves.
I love the people, the sport. It's fantastic. The travelling, it's a fantastic sport.
Hall was among dozens of locals and mainlanders with their eyes in the sky. The Victorian last shot in Tasmania back in the 90s when he won the state title. And having represented the country overseas, he still considers our landscape to be among the best for dusting clays.
What I've seen so far today, it's world class, really world class targets.
While another who's worn the green and gold also considers crushing clays to be a lifelong love.
different shapes, forms, sizes, angles. Yeah, just really enjoy the sport. Relaxation.
The Classic wraps up tomorrow. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Thousands have made their way to Launceston's Windsor Park for a slice of Holden heaven. It's the very first time the Monaro Nationals have been held in Tasmania, and besides a few scratches and scrapes for some owners, there was no missing the show.
200 polished Monaros sparkling under the sun, but with one honourable exception. Jim Petro's 2003 V2 series made it all the way from the Adelaide Hills when disaster struck close to Launceston.
Unfortunately, the car spun violently in the other direction and I was at the mercy of the elements. It hit the pole, all the wires, the electricity pole, snapped that off at the base and threw the car into a ditch.
Despite the specks of mud and damage, he was determined not to miss out on the celebrations. It's been 50 years since the first Monaro roared onto the road, and today Windsor Park became an open-air museum of all models, from the painstakingly restored to those with curious modifications. Arthur Patras was happy to add the kilometres from Melbourne to show off his 68 HK.
People just somehow relate to them, and there is a nostalgia about them, you know, whatever it is.
Those responsible for bringing the Nationals to Tassie for the first time say it's been a dream 3 years in the making.
Some people, look, I grew up with them. My dad's got a couple of Monaros, and so now do I. And look, some people, it's what they come home from hospital in as a kid, or their grandfather might have had them, or they might have bought them new and now they've got them 40 years later.
As for Jim Petro, he's happy to cross Bass Strait again, although next time he might leave the Monaro in the garage.
Yeah, well, I think we will come back, probably in a rental though.
Sean McComish, Southern Cross News.
The Magic of the Nutcracker is set to make a return to the stage in Launceston. The production by the Kimro Dance School pays homage to the Tchaikovsky Ballet while adding a few modern twists.
I think it's the magic of Christmas in the Nutcracker, that it starts on Christmas Eve, and it's a dream that Clara follows through with all her experiences in life. But it's just so exciting because it has so many different magical kingdoms in it.
It's the school's 28th Launceston Christmas pantomime. It opens at the Princess Theatre on Monday night.
With Star International recruit Hayley Matthews sidelined after fracturing her foot during training yesterday, the Hobart Hurricanes have fallen painfully short of securing a win in their opening match of the WBBL season. Young gun Erin Fazakerley came out firing with a bat to help set a solid total and force the Perth Scorchers to dig deep.
Touted as a star of the future, Fazakerley had no trouble living up to the hype.
Fazakerley rocks back and gives that everything. What a way to start her campaign.
The towering all-rounder belting the Scorchers' attack all over the ground before coming unstuck between creases on 38.
And Fazakerley's coming back. She's got to put in the big ones here. Gee, that's tight.
Fellow opener Stephanie DeFara showed glimpses of form but couldn't keep the momentum going, and when Corinne Hall departed on a duck in the following over, the Canes were in need of something special. Georgia Redmayne set about providing it, top scoring with 49 to help Hobart along to a 143-run total. With the Aussie skipper in their corner, the Scorchers wasted no time chasing it down as fellow World Cup star Elise Villani heated up before Brooke Hepburn provided the spark.
Nick on! Brilliant, massive breakthrough from Brooke Hepburn, and the big wicket goes. Meg Lanny.
Young quick Meg Phillips struck soon after, sending Nicole Bolton packing on 4, but there was no slowing down the Scorchers' danger woman.
Continues to prove herself unstoppable at the moment, Elise Villani.
The Canes captain taking matters into her own hands, trapping Heather Graham on 11 before claiming the prize scalp.
Chance and gone. And there it is, the big one as Villani tries to force the issue. Maloney gets the breakthrough, and is that the moment where this game turns?
But the rest of the Perth order still had plenty in the tank, and needing just 3 runs off the final over, Chloe Paparo sealed it in style, with the Scorchers taking the match by 6 wickets.
And it was a massive night for Tasmanian boxing at Hobart City Hall overnight for the Australian amateur boxing titles, with local fighters Abby Hawkins and Connor Flakemore both claiming gold medals in their respective weight classes, while Seb Wells and Liam McKenzie were also victorious in their elimination fights and join 9 other Tasmanians fighting for gold medals in the final rounds of competition tonight. Some of Tasmania's up-and-coming female surfing talent have been given a masterclass by one of the all-time greats. And with more women than ever taking up the sport, Lane Beachley says it's only a matter of time before Tasmania produces a world champion.
The first day of summer on Clifton Beach, who better to have out there teaching the next crop than a multiple world champion?
It's been a spectacular morning. Thank you, Clifton Beach, for putting on sunshine, light winds, great waves. All the girls are tremendously excited. It's been a beautiful way to start summer.
It's been a full-on week for Beachley, travelling the state for her Aim for the Stars Foundation, which offers scholarships to young women to help them achieve their dreams. And after being approached by Surfing Tasmania, the legend of the sport decided to extend her trip to throw her support behind the Women in Waves program.
The dream come true really for them, as well as Surfing Tasmania and really the wider beach community.
Seeing the uptake of women in the sport brings me a tremendous amount of pride, because I grew up at a time when there was no girls participating and it certainly wasn't encouraged.
A trailblazer in the sport, Beachley claimed 7 world surfing titles at a time when support for women was few and far between.
I was paid at least a third, sometimes a quarter of what the men's world champion was being paid, and that was when I was a 6-time world champion.
But thanks to an historic move from the World Surfing League recently, the prize money for women was brought directly in line with the men's. And while Beachley has long since retired from the World Tour, she says the decision brought her an overwhelming sense of pride and reward following years of battling for equality.
These girls will now have the capacity to earn more in one event that I earned in 1 year, and more in 1 year that I earned in 20 years on tour.
And today she may have just inspired a future world champion to begin carving out their own legacy in the sport.
We've got our pathways set up now like most sports, so kids can work their way through and have the opportunity to go to the National High Performance Centre.
This is what it's all about, developing the grassroots and getting women involved, because it's a healthy, happy, social, fun sport to be a part of.
For the third day straight, Ouse held the state's top temperature with 25 degrees. Hobart reached 23, Launceston 20. Burnie had 19, while Devonport got to 18 degrees. 23 was the top at King Island, 22 for Friendly Beaches, 21 for Strawn, while Flinders Island, Cape Grim, Low Head and Maria Island all reached 19 degrees. The satellite sequence shows mostly clear skies over Tasmania until a cloud band moves over the west coast during the afternoon. Further out, a cold front approaching Tasmania with the open cloud pattern to the west indicating cold air. Cloud over central Australia is associated with thunderstorm activity. Tomorrow, the cold front has crossed Tasmania. A high over the Indian Ocean extends a ridge over the head of the bight into western Victoria. On to boating now. Northerly winds at 20 to 30 knots, tending westerly at similar speeds during the morning, with seas 2 to 3 metres. A strong wind warning is current for all Tasmanian coastal waters. A small craft wind alert is current for the lakes. There's a warning to sheep graziers for the northwest, King Island, southeast, Upper Derwent Valley and Midlands forecast districts. And there's also a minor flood warning for the Huon River Basin. Tomorrow, Hobart and Richmond should reach 18 degrees, rain easing and 17 for Ouse. Rain easing for Launceston, Devonport and Deloraine. Showers for Strawn and Curry, with rain easing for Burnie and a top of 17. 19 for St Helens, Swansea and Whitemark. The UV is still very high, 9. On to Monday, rain easing to showers and clearing to the east coast in the afternoon and evening. Showers for Tuesday, clearing in the north and east during the afternoon and evening. And finally on Wednesday, fine and mostly sunny with light winds. Around the country, Perth sunny 29 degrees, mostly cloudy for Canberra, Brisbane, Cairns and Broome, with possible storms for Darwin and Alice Springs. And after a beautiful day in Hobart, it's now 21 degrees and cloudy, Launceston 18 and mostly sunny, and 16 degrees in Devonport. Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening. Good night.